Morning, everybody. Today we are going to start a new topic. It is hemispherical projection theory. From the term hemisphere, you can easily understand this hemisphere I am talking about. The globe is our Earth. To observe in the Earth, everything in the surface of the Earth can be interrelated using angular relations. There is other way also. Consider a transparent ball. Transparent ball. That ball from this side to this side it is visible. A ball, sphere. And the sphere is marked with black lines of the latitude and the longitude. This side, concentric circles, and longitude like this. So it is a globe, transparent globe, only there are some black lines. So this is a 3D figure of a globe. So in this particular situation, you imagine yourself, you are standing on a dark room. You are standing on a dark room and you have with you a torch. In a black room, in a dark room, you are with that globe, transparent globe marked with black line, latitude and longitude. And you have a very strong light source, a torch, pointed light source. Now, if you hold your torch on the right hand or a left hand and vice versa, hold the globe in the right side, left side of the torch, and there is a wall, vertical wall, there is a bottom wall also. To keep it, the ball, if you put a switch on the light, here in the wall, a beautiful picture will come. Beautiful picture will come that there is a dark line, a circle is drawn, and inside the circle there are this kind of lines joining the top pole to bottom pole, this side as well that side, and the latitude is basically this kind of slightly distorted circle observed from the top to bottom. So this sphere projected on the wall as a 2D. Understood? Can you imagine the situation?
No, sir.
You cannot imagine the situation.
No, sir.
Huh?
No, sir.
You cannot imagine. Let me use the board. Okay? Now think about this board is visible.
Yes, sir.
Think about this is a wall. This is a wall, okay? And here this is a sphere, you consider a sphere. Now it is a circle in a drawing, but it is a sphere, okay? Now your light source, this is a torch light. This is a torch light. The torch light is basically light is like this. Imaginary. You think of imaginary line like this. Okay. Now for the consideration, make it a dotted line that it can be represented. This is actually I am representing the range of the light. And everything else is dark in the room. Okay. Up to this, it is understood.
Yes, sir.
Now, this sphere, I have already told you, this sphere is marked with black lines, latitude and the longitude. Okay. And this ball is transparent. This is the equatorial. This is the globe. Now it is representative.
Yes, sir.
Now this is the light source. What will happen? There will be a projection here up to this. This top portion will be here. This top portion will be here. And if you analyze the picture of this wall, this wall picture will be, let me show you another picture. The picture of this wall that will be projected due to the source of the light, this kind of circle. This kind of circle will be projected in this particular wall. And the circle feature will be more or less same like this. This is a sphere, but this is a circle. The circle representation will be like this. This kind of projection in 2D wall you will get. What it indicates? It indicates that by using the projection system, you can reduce dimensionality of the data, whereas you are retaining the actual feature of the data. Means whatever feature is there in this globe, whatever feature is in the globe on the top surface, you can rightly represent whatever feature in the globe is in the 3D. So that 3D picture can well be represented in 2D. This is projection. Understood?
Yes, sir.
If this projection system works, and if you use this kind of projection system called equatorial projection system. Equatorial projection system. Okay. Now think about just reverse one. My light source is putting here. My source is here, light source. Of the same sphere, and there is a horizontal film. I have kept it, the horizontal plane. So the other things is dark. Forget about this particular graph and this picture of the light. Now light will be projected from this particular line, this particular side to this particular line, and finally projection will be there in this particular plane. And the projection, it will look like, it will be like this. like this, and you get this kind of line, and there will be huge number of lines will be there. Understood? You can do in your home. You can do it. Transparent ball projecting like this, marking line, latitude and longitude, and project it on the wall as well as the bottom. This should be look like this. This is called polar projection system. Up to this is clear?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So, this projection system we are often referred is basically the StereoNet projection system. And more if we go through and we are looking into and we are using in the rock mechanics is basically the equatorial projection system. What are the advantages of the equatorial projection system? What are the advantages of polar projection system? That we will definitely discuss. So think about, this is a plane, shaded area. Shaded area is a plane. Okay. If we use the hemispherical projection system, remember, in the hemispherical projection system, we are only using the lower hemisphere, the bottom part of the globe. Top part we are neglecting for the time being. We are not considering. Only the bottom hemisphere we are considering. So any plane we want to draw in the StereoNet, that plane should pass to the center of the sphere. That plane should pass to the center of the hemisphere. Anyway, this way, that way, but it should pass to the center of the hemisphere. Now think of a situation. Like this. Think of a situation like this. This is a circle. This is a hemisphere, and you are only considering the lower hemisphere. The lower hemisphere is considered. This is the lower hemisphere. Now think of a plane. This is a plane. This plane should pass through the center of the hemisphere. Now this is a globe. And if one plane, this is a plane, that plane will touch this sphere number of points. And if you join those points, that will make a curved line in the sphere. A plane intersecting a sphere in the periphery of the sphere, then the intersecting points between this plane and the sphere will be a line, a curved line. It is understood? It is understood?
Yes, sir.
So if it is a curved line, think about a system. Think about a system that this is the north pole of the hemisphere. Now this line, try to draw n number of lines from the from that particular line. There are n number of points there will be, and n number of lines can be drawn to join the north pole. So from this particular position, n number of joint can be plotted, n number of line can be plotted, and this contour of lines will intersect at this particular projection. So there will be dotted line in that projection area also. If we plot again a circle, this is the hemisphere circle, and all these points making intersecting the top hemisphere like this, 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 like this. If I join this line, this is the great circle plotted on a stereonet. So the plane was the feature, actual feature. It is a 3D. Now in a stereonet, I can plot in 2D. This projection system is called equatorial equal angle net. Equal angle net, because all the points in between 2 points, all the points making same angle with the north pole. Same angle with the north pole. That is why it is called equatorial equal angle stereonet. There is another equatorial angle, equatorial stereonet, that is called equatorial equal area net. What is the equal area net? Same projection system. If you follow downward, project everything downward. This point here, like that. This point here, 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 like that. Plot, and this stereonet is called equal area net. Equal area net. That I will show you the difference. So, using the hemisphere projection system, we have understood that we can reduce the dimension of a feature present in the mine site to a lower dimensional feature. One dimension has been reduced, but we are physically representing that in intact. You can plot it. That is the one advantage. So we have a few kind of stereonet use for the last couple of decades. Equal area stereonet that I have already, equal angle net that I have already talked with you. That is Wolf's stereonet. Equatorial equal area net, that is called Smith stereonet, that we will use for the entire course. I will share you one copy of the Smith stereonet. Today we will give you the first assignment of the course, then you will do it. So I will give you the soft copy of the Smith stereonet. You will print it, and how to use that I will explain it.
Sir, just what is? Huh? Sir, just what is stereonet, sir?
Stereonet. This is the stereonet. From the sphere, you are projected downward, that is equal area net. That the figure is like this. 1 minute. I'll show you the figure. This is basically the stereonet. So in this stereonet, you can see in the outer boundary, the some marking is there, and basically it is started from 0 to 360. So joint orientation can be plotted in the periphery of the great circle of this particular stereonet. This is called stereonet. And there is also a number of circles inside and coming towards the center. And there are a small circle as well as big circles. The small circle represent 2 degree and the big circle represent 10 degree. So up to this 90, up to this 90 again. So total 180 degree. Okay. Similarly, for equal area net, there is a very minor difference between the equatorial equal angle stereonet and equatorial equal area stereonet. We can plot plane in equal both the plane, both the stereonet. We can plot lineation feature. We can plot pole. We cannot plot the contours of the pole. If we want to plot the contours of the pole, then we have to use equatorial equal area net. That is why in majority of the cases, we will use the equal area net. How to do that? Today I will discuss. So let me show you a few variants, kind of varieties of the stereonet available and used globally. So this is polar angle stereonet. The easiness of this polar equal area and equal angle net is that for plotting the poles, what is pole? That I will again explain you. Plotting the pole is a point feature. This is a plane, this is a plane. So plane have a deep, plane have a orientation, deep orientation, deep direction. So that can be represented by great circle in equatorial projection system, that is equal area and equal angle. Perpendicular to this plane, if I draw a perpendicular to this plane, then perpendicular will be intersecting in the hemisphere in some point. So that point also actually represent this plane because there is the angular relationship here. This pole is perpendicular to these joints. So to plot those poles, this polar equal area and polar equal angle net is very easy because through 360 in the round that will represent the orientation, and from the center it will represent the angle. That is very easy to plot for the pole, but you cannot plot the great circle. This is Carlsberg counting net. It is a variant of the stereonet, but it has a quality. There are so many hexagons there. And the beauty of this particular stereonet is that area of every hexagon is 100 of the total area of the circle. So what we do? In the equal area net, we will plot the pole and we will superimpose this Carlsberg counting net and we will count in a same hexagon how many number of poles is there. If 5, then we will mark 5 numbers. If total number of poles was 100, so 5 is inside one area, then concentration of the pole is 5 by 100 is basically 5%. Like that, we will plot the contours of the pole using this Carlsberg counting. To do all these things means to plot the geological features. Now, to map the geological features, you need to know the geological feature itself. And you have to measure the properties of the geological features. And you have to measure. And one of the easiest way to measure is using a geological compass. And this is a type of geological compass, simple geological compass. if you have any friends in the geology, geophysics, they are very used to this instrument. We will definitely show you how to use this instrument in video. But this geological compass feature is, using this geological compass, we can measure deep of the plane, we can measure the orientation of the plane, that is the direction. We can also measure delineation structures also. Delineation structures also, that is the deep and plunge and the trend, we can measure using this geological compass. So this geological compass is actually combining the principles of surveyor compass, prismatic compass, and the clinometer and the level. So this is the way to represent. Now let me show you how to use this geological compass in the field and to measure the deep, direction, and the deep amount. Okay, let me show you a video.
So we're going to measure the orientation of a plane.
Yes, sir.
So it's audible?
Here, as it happens in Ballycotton Harbour. The first thing you do when you measure the orientation of any structure is that you make sure you know what you're measuring. Clearly, we've got alternating bands of red siltstones, green sandstones, so the bedding fabric we can clearly see here. Now, if I walk up to this surface here is a bedding plane, a bedding surface. It's very clear also, just in passing, that we've got a series of fractures, joint fractures, cross-cutting that bedding surface. And in addition, we've got a cleavage, a tectonic cleavage fabric coming through like that, giving us a bedding, cleavage, intersection lineation. Let's not worry about that. I just want to measure the orientation of this plane here in front of us. So when we measure the orientation of a plane, we have three elements: strike, dip, and dip direction. It's quite nice here in that if you look at this pool of water, the definition of a strike line is a horizontal line on the surface. And this water line here gives us a very nice reference for a horizontal line. So let's extend that line and imagine that there, we have it there, we have a line coming across like that. That's our strike line. 90 degrees to it, we've got our line of dip. And obviously the beds are dipping in that direction. So we set up the compass clinometer, so the clinometer in its correct orientation, set it east-west, and we hold the compass clinometer when we're using the clinometer vertically like that. So you'll notice there's a needle, a little black diamond-shaped needle. That's going to measure off the inclination of the base of the compass. That's what we're going to use to measure the amount of dip. So we return this to the surface and we move it around. Imagine the line of dip being a line down which water would flow if it was flowing on this surface. So we just move it around and we just give it a few little tips like that, and we can read off directly the inclination of the base of the compass, which in this case is the line of dip. And this is a reading here of approximately 45 degrees. Okay, so that is the dip of our bedding surface. There's our line of dip, 90 degrees, our line of strike, a horizontal line on the surface. We take the compass, now we're holding it flat because we're using it as a compass, and we put the long axis of the compass along the line of strike, that horizontal line on the bedding surface. We rotate, I'm going to do this with two hands, we're going to rotate the face of the compass such that the red needle and the red arrow are aligned, and there we have the orientation of our strike. We've got two readings, one is approximately 300, the other is 120. Okay? It doesn't matter which one you use, all right? So you can use the higher or the lower value in the case of strike readings. We're nearly there. We've got our dip reading, we've got our strike reading. A dip reading of approximately 45 degrees, a strike reading of, we'll take the lower value of 120. So it's 120, 45, and the last component is a dip direction. And that's very easily done. We simply take the compass, align the red needle and red arrow as before. That's north, south, east behind me, west. So clearly these beds are dipping out in this direction, they're dipping out to the northeast. That's the final component of our reading. So again, to recap, our strike of 120, 120, space, dip of 45 degrees, just 45, space, northeast. That's the job done.
Thank you to GeoPost for providing this nice video. Hope you can understand how to measure the deep direction in the field. So today we are going to start continuously deliberation how to interpret data of this geological data we are collecting from the field, how to use the stereo net. So, using the geological compass, we will get a good number of features, geological features present in the field. So, after getting that data, we have to plot in the StudioNet, that few StudioNet kind of StudioNet I have already shown you. So, let me start the deliberation. StudioNet is basically a lower hemispherical graph onto which a variety of geological data can be plotted. One of the major advantages that I have already shown you in the last slide, that for the equal angle StudioNet to plot a imaginary line joining those intersect of a plane in this sphere to the North Pole, there will be projection of few lines in the hemisphere, top hemisphere. That line is a great circle. This is for equal angle. So this StudioNet is basically a hemisphere graph, lower hemisphere graph onto which you can plot a variety of geological fault, folds, discontinuity, 2D feature as well as 1D features, 3D feature as well as 2D features. So for the 3D features plane, there will be a great circle that is linear. For the lineation structure, there will be point in the StudioNet. So this is one of the schematic diagram. How this is a pure sphere. In the lower hemisphere, we are using the projection system, and how the great circle looks like, and this great circle can be plotted, and in the actual StudioNet, how it looks. This is the way we are representing, and I will give you the soft copy of the StudioNet that is. Now, continuation to this idea, planes can be plotted as line, great circle, and lineation can be plotted as a point. Lineation can be plotted as a point. So, the advantage is why we are looking after this projection system, because this projection system only look into the angular characteristics, not the actual one. The location of the discontinuity plane we are not considering here. Location has importance. But the advantage is, in the field, if you get 100 number of discontinuity, advantage is that you can plot those 100 number of discontinuity on a single graph paper. So analyzing all 100 plots in a single graph paper, you are going to conclude which kind of failure is a probability for this kind of features are present in the one advantage. Then you may question, sir, in today's day, today's time, n number of softwares is available, and if you give the data, after the field engineers have given you the data about the geological discontinuity, the software can plot it. Yes, it is available. Which I can also share you some of the website from where you can get the online software of plotting all these things. But whether that data represented and plotted by the software is correct, you have to recheck. And if you do not know, if you do not do it manually, you cannot correct, or you can check the validity of the results shown by the software. The software is a black box. If you give the data, software will give you an output. So you should learn on yourself how to plot the StudioNet in your own way. So in this StudioNet, there are few features. The outer periphery is called primitive. Outer periphery is called the primitive. Okay. In the outer periphery, there are in 10-degree gaps, there are a big circle, and it is starting from 0 and it is ending at 360 at the north. Similarly, along the equator, there are big circles representing 10 degree. In the center, it is 90. Again, from the center left side, starting from 0, 0, 0 to 90. So 90 plus 90, 180 degree. If can be represented along the equator. So there are great circles, big circles, and small circles. There are equator. There are primitive. The top is North Pole, bottom is South Pole. North Pole is 0 degree, South Pole is 180 degree, then West 270, then again 360. East is 90. Okay? It is clear up to this, it is clear? Up to this is clear?
Yes, sir.
Now, setting the StudioNet is very important to plot a feature. What we will do? Suppose this is a StudioNet. This is the StudioNet. We will keep the StudioNet at the bottom. Then we will try to collect a tracing paper. I could not found now. I have some. So on the StudioNet, on the top you will place the tracing paper. On the tracing paper, you can visually see the StudioNet. So at the center, you will insert a pin. You will insert a pin in the center on the top. After it is done, then pin will be inserted from the down to the top. So that's things is set up. Things is set up in such a way the pin is in the bottom and it is directed upward. So the tracing paper can be rotated anytime. Center is fixed, and if the StudioNet is fixed, the StudioNet is fixed, then tracing paper can be rotated as and when it is necessary. So this is the arrangement of the setting of the StudioNet. First part. Second part is, after setting this thing, you have to mark by looking in the StudioNet, the knot you will mark, and you will first draw the outer circle, that is the primitive line all along the StudioNet. You will plot using the pencil. Okay? Then you will mark with some line the north, some small line south, equator it is east, the left side, that is west, is done. So first you will set the paper with the tracing paper, the student, then we will mark north, south, east, west. Up to this it is clear? It is clear?
Yes, sir. Sir,
Please.
Sir, is StereoNet a type of graph paper available in the market, or what is it, sir?
You don't have to worry. I will mail you the soft copy of the StereoNet. You can print it in your place. Okay.
Oh, okay, okay, sir.
You have to collect the tracing paper only and the pen and pencil. Okay.
Oh, okay, sir.
Okay. Now consider a plane like this. This plane strike is 57 degree. 57 degree, and the dip is 34 degree for this particular plane. Okay, we have measured, and the value is 57 degree and 34. But how to write it in a standard form? We should write the orientation in 3 figures. To strike 57 degree should be written 057 slash 34, and the direction is southeast. If it is so, for this particular plane, how to plot this particular plane in this stream? Let me show you that. Now, for this example, how to plot a plane? The plane orientation is 0, 90. Means orientation is 90 degree, and we have put a 0 because we have to represent it in 3 figures. And dip is 40 degrees south. Is clear? Now what we will do? First we will place the StereoNet in the bottom. Then we will put the tracing paper on the top, and in the center I will make a hole with the pin. Then I will insert the pin in the reverse direction from the bottom. Then my setup is ready. Then I will draw the primitive, the outer periphery of the StereoNet. Then I will mark the top north, bottom south, right, east, left, west. So for this particular data, the orientation of the strike is 0, 90. This is for strike. And if you want to measure the dip direction, you have to add 90 degree again, 180. Because strike and dip direction is mutually perpendicular to each other. Is known to you? It is known to you or
yes,
not?
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Strike direction and the dip direction is mutually perpendicular to each other. So this is for strike. Okay, strike of 090 slash 40. Not for dip direction of 090. Remember that. Mark the difference. Okay. Now we'll mark first the 90 from the north, because orientation is measured on the primitive. Orientation is only measured in the primitive. 90 degree I will mark here. Then what I will do? Then I will rotate back. I will rotate back that marking point to the true north. The true north. Then the angle of the dip is 40 degree. Then I will start counting from the primitive line along the equator 10, 20, 30, 40. So along that point is fixed. So there is a great circle. So along that great circle, I will plot the line like this, joining North Pole and joining South Pole. So after joining is done, it will look like the third figure. Then after these things is complete, then I will place originally the tracing paper in the original position. Earlier, what happened? Tracing paper was like that. So mark 90 degree in the east. Then we have rotated back anti-clockwise to put the red mark zone in the North Pole. Then we have measured the 40 degree along the equator. Then drawn the red circle. Then again rotating back clockwise to the original position. Now In the fourth figure, it is represented like that. So now this particular figure represents the orientation of that particular plane on a stereo net with a stripe 0, 90, 40 south. This is clear?
Sir, no, sir.
Please tell me where you have not understood.
Sir, a turning of 90 degrees you have said, no, sir. How to draw this line, sir? From you have said that from in the second figure. Hello, sir.
Please continue.
Sir, you have said that in the second figure, 40 degrees is pointed, sir.
Yes.
So then what we have to do, sir? We have to turn the paper, sir.
Turn the tracing paper, not the stereo net, because there is a pin, alpine. So free rotation of the tracing paper is possible. Okay?
Sir.
And the great circle primitive line is also drawn on the tracing paper. So whenever you will draw, whenever you will rotate, there will not be any distorted picture because circle is the same and center is the same.
Sir.
So everywhere it is equal. But when you mark 90 from the north, so you will mark a red line. Okay?
Okay, sir.
What you have to do, you have to rotate back anti-clockwise that red line to the true north position because true north position is visible in the stereo net. Stereo net is visible.
Yes, sir.
Stereo net is visible, and you will put that red line in the pure north, in the actual north.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Then deep is measured along the equator. Deep is measured along the equator only.
Okay, sir.
So, after measuring 10, 20, 30, 40, because great circle is there, great circle represents 10 degree, 10, 20, 40, then 40 is coming here. So, after coming here, this line joining the North Pole and the South Pole, you have to mark in the tracing paper.
Okay, sir.
So once it is marked, it will be looks like the third figure. Okay?
Okay.
And earlier you have rotated 90 degree anti-clockwise. Now original position was 90 degree clockwise it should be. Then you have placed the tracing paper original position. Then the drawing will look like this.
Okay, sir.
If you understood that, so please write down the assignment for this exercise. Though this exercise 1, this assignment 1 will be extended the next because we could not complete. Can we extend this class for a few more minutes? Do you have a class?
Sir.
Do you have a class?
Yes, sir. We have.
Okay. So write down the exercise. Okay. This is not one limit. So please write down the exercise. Remember, this is not stripe. Earlier it is stripe. Earlier it is stripe. Okay? It is only plane. Remember that. So 032, 20 degree northwest, 102, 65 south, 117, 33 east, and 065, 82 northwest. Okay.
Sir, can you please go back to the back slide, sir? Last slide. Okay, sir.
This is stripe, but it is I have written same direction. Okay. Do you have any queries regarding this?
Sir, will you send us material today, sir, or you will upload video on
Please?
YouTube channel? Sir, today's class video you will upload on YouTube channel, sir.
Yes, it would be available.
Okay. Sir, what's the deadline of this assignment?
7 days. The next week you have to submit. Okay.
Sir, there is a one more point, sir.
Okay.
Sir, in the back slide, sir, can you please go back to the black slides? Sir, in this 40-degree point is when it is pointed, sir, before rotation or after rotation, sir?
After rotation, because you have to rotate that mark point to a true north, then along the equator you will mark the 40.
Sir, pointing of 40 degrees, sir, not line, drawing a line,
So
sir.
pointing the 40 degree in the equator, then the great circle joining that particular point towards the North Pole and South Pole, that you will draw.
Okay, okay, sir.
Okay?
Okay, sir.
Any other question?
Sir, this 03 to what pace we need to take, sir? Strike in before we have taken a strike.
Please tell. Please tell.
So this assignment problem is there, no, sir?